Let's talk about the gods. So in Norse heathenry, there's something called the weird. And the weird is a sort of tapestry which is woven by the Nornir. The Nornir are also called the three spinners of fate. And so the Nornir spin and weave the threads of fate into becoming the weird. The weird is where all of our fates lie. And so I have two theories about this. Does the weird existing mean that there's no such thing as free will and everything is scripted? And that even the mere thought of free will is a part of fate itself? The fact that you made a decision really is a part of fate? Or could it be that to your fate, there's many different threads, and you have the free will to go on whichever thread you wish? All of those threads would still be your fate, but you get to choose from which one you go on, which path you go on. Let's say possibility number one is true. None of us would know, since everything that we do is already scripted. If we make a decision to go against our fate, that was fate. But then let's say the possibility number two is true. Then that leaves us much more responsibility to what we do in our lives. So if we're sitting around playing video games, being lazy, is that fate or is that our choice? And the path that that leads us on, is that fate or is that one of the paths that we could take? I think option one is more similar to how the Christians believe in God's plan. For everything that happens in God's plan is something that was created and scripted. But at the same time, let's say that's true. How could you go to hell for not finding Jesus? And also, I'm not saying anything against Christians. I'm totally for whatever religion you want to be. Just in theory, how could everything in life be planned, but you can also go to hell? Does that mean that God wanted you to go to hell? Does that mean that you going to hell serves a greater purpose? Does that mean that hell is really a bad place? And that makes me wonder too, what about people like Adolf Hitler? How could he have been a part of God's plan? What role did he serve? If you've gotten this far into the video and you're a Christian or believe in God, what was Jesus' purpose? Comment that down below. Since I'm practically comparing Norse heathenry and Christianity, there's something else I want to bring up. The ancient Scandinavians loved their jewelry. And one of the pieces of jewelry that they would wear are armbands. Something that looks more or less like this. And in modern depictions of people in the Viking Age, it's common to see these armbands used as a religious tradition. For example, in the show Vikings, people would swear oaths on these rings. And these rings or armbands would resemble a bond similar to marriage bands. This bond would have to do with the connection between humans and the gods. So say you swear that every day for 2 years, you're going to grow crops for your Lord. Since you swore it on this band, that means that you're going to be held accountable for your word by the gods. I'm not exactly sure what the repercussions would be, since it seems that there's no such thing as a punishment afterlife in Norse heathenry. However, your word would be held accountable. So this reminds me, there's a practice in Norse heathenry where at a certain age or on a certain day, you need to make an oath to the gods or to other people, but be held accountable by the gods. And in Christianity, there's a day where it's commonplace to make an oath to your God. I believe it's Lent, I'm not sure exactly. And so this oath may be to give up sweets, or to be healthier, or to stop doing something that you know is bad. It seems to be similar to New Year's resolutions, but with repercussions if you do not hold up your end of the bargain. So I just find these similarities very interesting. On another note, something I wanted to talk about is the difference between hard polytheism and soft polytheism. I would consider myself more of a soft polytheist, but really more spiritual. So just off the top of my head, these are the differences between hard polytheism and soft polytheism. Hard polytheists are oftentimes historical reconstructionists, which means that the way that they worship the gods and the way that they live is based on the way that people used to back in the times that this religion was actually practiced. So most of their practices are deep-rooted in historical text. And on a side note, most heathens technically are historical reconstructionists for the reason that this religion has not been widely used for about 1,000 or so years. So there's a text called the Havamal, which in English would be something like the words of Odin. And so this text is supposed to be messages from Odin to humans. And there's some very good information in there and some very good rules to live by. But within the Havamal, there are some rather radical ideals, such as the statement, and I'm paraphrasing here, you should not be nice to your enemies, and especially you should be rude to them, which I do not think every heathen would agree with, but perhaps a majority do. So many hard polytheists, and I already know hard polytheists are going to be livid if they hear this. The hard polytheists can sometimes sort of be like devout Christians and devout Jews, in the sense that they take the text from the Havamal and the Poetic Edda to the letter. Now, I do not think there's anything wrong with this as long as you're not hurting anybody or you're not trying to start wars over it. That's when it becomes over the top. But as a soft polytheist, this is the way that I see it. We as humans are allowed to have connections with the gods. So why would I take a book extremely serious if I can just connect with Odin and have him tell me what he thinks? I definitely agree that if you're a polytheist, it's good to read your religious text. It's a good starting place. But I think listening to the gods is the way to get on your path. This is just my opinion though. Anyway, enough of religion. The last thing I wanted to bring up is the significance of runes. Now, I wanted to talk about how certain runes, if used in everyday life, can really help you. You know how they say runes are magic? Well, I think the magic is only there if you allow it to be. There's only so much magic as you give it. So the runes all have many different meanings. But I think there's some runes that stand out for certain issues in life. For example, if you're having issues with progression in your life and you feel like, for lack of a better word, a loser, or you feel like nothing's going your way in life, I think these three runes are very helpful. This rune, if you do not know anything about runes, is called Isa. Now, one of the main meanings of this rune is patience. And oftentimes, when we feel like nothing is going our way, part of it is that you need patience. And the other part is that you need to look at yourself in life. Really look deep down. Do you think you're going on the right path? Do you think there's changes that need to be made? Is there any way that you could be better in your life? Are there some people you need to get rid of? Is it where you live? Really look deep down into your life. Most of the battle is going to be patience. So the next rune, Raido. This rune has a couple of meanings, mainly transportation, progress, but in this case, we'll be talking about progress. Now, that rune is sort of self-explanatory, sort of to the point of what I previously said, focusing on how you can progress in your life while you feel like everything is at a standstill may be your best bet. So not focusing on all the things that suck, how you're not progressing in life, focus on how you can progress. And then the last rune, Tevas. This rune mainly means success or victory, which again, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Now, I think Tevas really goes hand in hand with Isa, since focusing too much on victory can lead you down a bad path. But focusing on victory and knowing that you need to be patient is probably the best thing you can do. And also knowing that it may take time and effort will save you a ton of heartache. I always like to say you should have high hopes and low expectations, since oftentimes high hopes keeps you happier. And if you have low expectations, you're almost never disappointed, but you may be pleasantly surprised. So this one, I think practically everybody feels in life. No matter if you're poor, you're rich, you grew up in a very wealthy country, or you grew up in a very poor one. I think this set can help practically everybody. So this is the Algi's rune. Most often it refers to protection, trust, friendship, and prayer. Usually in a reading for me, it means that there's a connection with the gods or that the gods are watching over people. So this one can be very helpful in that sense. If you're feeling alone in life or you're feeling like you just need connection, this can help you with friendship connection, or it can help you with connection to the gods. This one is definitely going to be one of the best runes for you to have almost all the time. This is the Turias rune. This is the rune that makes the th sound, and it's related to Thor. And this is also another symbol relating to Thor and Turias. They both have to do with protection and toughness, endurance, getting through those difficult times, making it out the other end, staying strong, and perhaps even getting stronger. Overall, inner strength. This is the Lagus rune. And Lagus refers oftentimes to creativity, fluidity. Now, the way that I usually see it in readings has to do with maybe going with the flow, depending on the other runes that are in the set. So this can help with maybe if you feel like your life is out of control, you're spiraling in a bad direction. This rune would represent sort of relaxing and letting go of control. Sometimes you need to let go of control to actually be in control. Now, I know that sounds like it makes no sense, but out of personal experience, it does. Sometimes you're trying to control the wrong thing. Sometimes it's the wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. Maybe you will regain control in that aspect, but right now is not the time. And the fact that you keep trying to regain control actually only makes your situation worse. And lastly, this is the Vunyo rune. So Vunyo mainly represents harmony, luck, family. In reading, I would usually see this as some sort of pending joy. Depending on the rest of the runes in the set, it could mean joy in work, or it could mean joy overall in your life. Maybe it has to do with joy in a relationship, or even joy within your family in general. But overall, this rune, in this case, would symbolize joy coming to you, celebration, happiness, and of course, luck. You're going to want to feel lucky on your way, especially if you feel like things are not in your hands. I think that these runes can be very helpful in optimism. As I said before, runes are only as magical as you allow them to be. And if these runes resonate with you, please comment down below which runes you feel exactly and which set of runes. I would like to thank everybody for watching my video. And if you would like more of these videos, please comment Thor in the comment section. And everybody have a good night.